Our St. Francis Tulsa Tough, day number 3 of racing for our Crybaby Hill, officially known as the McElroy River Parks Criterium. Our standings coming into day number 3 are very tight. Brian Gomez of Rainstorm Racing leading with 49 points. Luke Lamperti of Soudal Quickstep in second with 48 points. Noah Granigan from Miami Blazers with 42. Clever Martinez in fourth for Rockland Development with 40. And Michael Garrison, unattached actually, he's not on Blazers there, but he races with 38 points. We're going to go listen to Brad Soner and Frankie Andreu do our call-ups.
Current overall leader. He rides for Rainstorm Racing from Columbia. Welcome by 1 point, Brian Gomez.
Riding for Soudal Quickstep, just coming back from Europe. He's currently sitting second overall, only 1 point from the lead. He won on day number 1 in Blue Dome. He's a 3-time Criterium national champion, Luke Lamperti.
Another American to the front row. Up next, he rides for the Miami Blazers, currently sitting 3rd place overall. Just 7 points out of the lead. Welcome to the front row, Noah Granigan.
He's been wanting a call-up all week long. He's a multi-time track national champion. He comes from Germany, and finally he gets his call-up because he was your winner yesterday. Riding for DCC, Moritz Augenstein.
And finally, a former winner here on Crybaby Hill. He was the champ back in 2021 and is on fire this year. Riding for the Miami Blazers, coming fresh off a top 5 ride at Nationals. Welcome, Tyler Williams.
Rest of the field to the line. Hey Tulsa, this is race number 3 of the St. Francis Tulsa Tough as we get ready for Crybaby Hill. 125 riders on the line. As we are getting ready for a showdown, we had talked about the difference between first and second, only 1 point. The difference going back to third, only 7 points. Your overall Tulsa Tough Championship all coming down to 1 day, and this is it.
All right, Tulsa, if you guys are ready to get our last race started of the day, I need to hear a little bit of noise from the crowd before we can send them off. Tulsa, are you ready? We've got the all clear. We're going to count them down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go!
Professional men's race. We just concluded with our professional women's race that just saw Alexis Magner take the win for Legion of Los Angeles.
By an inch. We got confirmation that she got that win literally by an inch.
And she took it from just ahead of Skylar Schneider. Schneider has won this race 4 times. She's looking for her 5th in a row. She said on Thursday night at Ride with the Pros that she very much wanted to take that win, and she almost got there. But it was, in fact, Alexis Magner taking the win. Great ride by her. We're going to get you guys the standings for the final for the Omnium for our professional women momentarily. But right now, on course, we have our professional men. And we have 134 on the start sheet for us today. Actually, 129 now. 129 taking to the start for today. Day number 3 of racing with us. We started on Friday night in Tulsa Blue Dome for an electrifying evening of races. And then yesterday in the Arts District for a very hot 105-degree race. And now today, a beautiful day for us overall. Beautiful evening, or beautiful afternoon for us here Luke Lamperti on the front right now for Soudal Quick-Step. Lamperti having won here in the past when he was racing for Trinity and also wearing the Stars and Stripes for being the current national champion. And he's going to be looking to make an impact on this race today. On Friday night, Lamperti was very strong overall, doing a lot of the heavy lifting early on and then waiting it out until at the very end. He took the $1,000 gambler premium, and then he went on to actually take the race win. Not without mishap, though. The Rainstorm Racing program having bad luck on Friday night when Alfredo Rodriguez dropped the chain in the last turn. That gave a big gap to Lamperti, so he had enough time for a massive celebration. Yesterday, quite the race you saw on the right side here. In the red is Michael Garrison. Garrison had a really stellar evening of racing last night in the heat, starting the breakaway, then going back to the peloton, and then bridging back across to the breakaway, blowing the gap out with Alec Cowan and Moritz Augustin. And before the end of the night, he had a significant impact on the overall. But the end of the night on Saturday night in the Arts District, Moritz Augustin from DCC Alpecin go ahead and taking the win. Now, in fact, this morning with our commentary team, with Frankie Andreu and Brad Soner, Soner was talking to Augustine after the race off mic, and Augustine was noting how he came to Tulsa just for today, in fact. So the win last night was a surprise for Augustine. He and his team have actually been targeting today through and through. It's one of the only reasons they're here. So we're very much looking forward to seeing how DCC Alpecin handles today. And as you can see right now, they're on the front already, as they're looking to put themselves, Andreas Meyer putting himself onto the front right now on behalf of Moritz Augustin. If you look through Moritz Augustin's results from just this year alone, he won 2 races in Europe before coming across the pond for a little block of Criterium Racing in America. So Augustin will be one to watch, even though he is racing at 90 kilos. In our world, that's 198 pounds. So on a day like today, that's he's a big guy for today. A lot of big muscles, though, and so we'll see if he can power his way to victory. Already, though, we're seeing single file racing, courtesy of Miami Blazers, with Frere on the front here, and Eddie Huntsman now coming up on around on the outside. Huntsman looking for an opportunity here. He's had a bit of a quiet weekend for the results sheet. So maybe Huntsman looking for an early opportunity on behalf of ButcherBox Pro Cycling to get himself into a separation early on. We're just on the second lap for a professional men's race.
Yeah, and Eddie is a young guy, comes from the track. Also another big rider. So he's a guy that does have a turn of speed, and I think for him to have success individually, he needs to find himself in one of those smaller moves that flattens his power file, rather than being in the larger group that has big accelerations on the hill. I don't think it's going to play into his favor, but he does have Dusan Kalaba in his squad that was 4th on Friday night, and was up there in the field kick yesterday as well. So ButcherBox does have a known finisher in Dusan, so Eddie could just be playing his part into making the race difficult to set up his teammate. And yeah, Mendez is now on the front again from Rockland Racing.
Yeah, Mendez having a big impact on the racing overall over the past few nights, but also the past few weeks of racing. Remember, for both the men and the women, this has been a block of racing. This is the 3rd week of this block of racing, so we're going to see the fruits of that. Now, Alec Cowan, your Canadian national champion, he was 2nd last night. He was in the breakaway the entire night with Moritz Augustin of DCC Alpecin, and the tactics of Michael Garrison nullified his opportunity for victory, anchoring him off the back of the breakaway with 2 laps to go. And Cowan unable, or either called the bluff. We didn't actually talk to Alec yet about what transpired from his perspective in that situation, but Michael Garrison intentionally riding Cowan off the back of the break, and It gave Augustine Moritz a lot of advantage to the point that it could not be brought back, but Cowan then winning the sprint against Garrison at the line so that Alec Cowan would finish in second. Right now he is driving the pace, probably trying to draw out another little breakaway opportunity for that program. Legion of Los Angeles did lose Justin Williams on Friday night. There was a crash with 4 laps to go, and Justin Williams suffering a major laceration to his right arm. He needed to be transported to the hospital, and he is in a sling right now after surgery on the arm. He will make a full recovery, but he is definitely out for the next few weeks as he makes that recovery. So Legion, they have a few cards to play today, though. They got Robin Carpenter, an amazing rider out of Massachusetts, who has really put an impact on big races. They have Kyle Murphy from Vermont, who brings a lot of pedigree. So we'll see what Legion wants to do. Now looking at the front, we've got Brian Gomez. He's leading the Omnium. Why is Brian on the front right now instead of one of his other teammates?
He just found himself there through position, and he's on the front, but we would imagine he's not, for him, setting a big pace. Just anywhere from 275 to 375 watts for a short period of time. Now we hear Kyle Murphy, or is that tenor word?
Pretty sure it was
Murphy. That is the mustache of Kyle Murphy. Also has those stripes on his sleeves as professional road race champion a handful of years ago. Quite impressive. So he's a danger man that you don't want to give time. And there you go, Luke.
Yeah. Luke Lamperti following him here. We're taking a look at beautiful Tulsa, Oklahoma, ladies and gentlemen. Big thanks to QT, more than a gas station. They are our official sponsor of our live stream this year. And big thanks to Hallmark and Payne for their support. Here's our weather today. 79 degrees, partly cloudy, high of 82 degrees, 70% humidity though, because we've got thunderstorms north of us and 13-mile-an-hour winds, and that could have an impact on our racing day here. Big thanks to Hallmark and Payne for these drone shots through and through. Our professional men are on course. We just wrapped up our professional women's race. If you go to tulsatough.com/results, you can find today's race, do the drop down for the professional women, and see who won. And we'll give it away, though. Alexis Magner of Legion of Los Angeles did take the sprint victory by 1 inch over Skylar Schneider. On the course right now, you have our professional men, and it is Luke Lamperti of Quick Step Sudal on the front. He wants to make an impact here today, and Brian Gomez is not going to let him too far out of sight. These two men are separated by just 1 point in our Omnium standings. So whomever finishes in front of the other will, in fact, take the victory of the St. Francis Tulsa Tough over all Omnium.
Unless it's outside of the points.
Well, that's true. If they finish in 26th or lower, well, there's a lot of things. Oh, no, we're not going to get into that one.
I doubt we're going to see that happen, that move of that many riders goes up the road without either one of those.
Earlier today, we had a chance to talk to the executive director of the St. Francis Tulsa Tough, Malcolm McCollum. Let's throw to him and listen to a few of the things he has to say about this amazing event here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, that is known as the St. Francis Tulsa Tough. You have amateur races throughout the day. One of them is happening behind us right now. How important are some of these races that occur right now as far as feeding the culture into our professional races later on over the years?
It's hard to measure, but I think they're vitally important. I'm in the community. Most of our elite level racers come from out of town. We have a few locals in the elite races, but really when you get down in these entry level categories, it's a lot of local people. And I get to ride with them week in, week out, all year long, and to hear the enthusiasm that people have and to hear them tell me, to the nth degree about their power meter ratings and how their coaches told them, they have to go do openers on this day and hill repeats on this day, and they spend the entire year getting ready for this event. It's their Super Bowl too. So I hope we will always continue to appreciate the importance of what the amateur categories bring.
All right, Big thanks to Malcolm McCollum for everything that he does for us here at St. Francis Tulsa Tough, and making sure that we have an amazing weekend of festivities. This town really turns out it is truly something special to be part of the St. Francis Tulsa Tough family, so big thanks to them for having myself, Gabe Lloyd, and Daniel Holloway joining us here today. On track course right now, we have our professional men, and we are seeing a flurry of attacks. Michael Garrison was on the front there momentarily in that red jersey, just testing the legs, turning around, seeing what he could draw out. But now we see Team Skyline presented by Cadence and Ben Oliver, number 87. Now, for the past 2 nights, Daniel Holloway and I were confused because we know Ben Oliver from MitoQ NZ Cycling Project out of New Zealand. Turns out Ben Oliver's now on Above and Beyond Cancer Research, and it is the same Ben Oliver. We were actually joking on Friday night, how weird is it that there's 2 Ben Olivers that race bikes so well? Well, it turns out there's 1 Ben Oliver, and here he is. This is your young man from New Zealand, graduating from the MitoQ NZ Cycling Project. He's actually been in Europe racing mountain bikes for the past few months, and his brother Craig is still on that program on the road, and they're currently racing up in Canada. So the Oliver family coming to us from New Zealand. Currently Ben in the teal jersey. Off the front right now, he is with one of the Skyline riders in the green jersey with the Alsos sleeve. They come by us here. That's going to be David Guyona for Team Skyline, presented by Cadence.
I'd say this is, Crybaby Hill is definitely a, favors of mountain bike type rider. The hill is super punchy. It's short 30, 40 seconds, and just kind of always on the gas. Very much like a modern, mountain bike. Those guys are just always just floating up, way above threshold, and then short periods of time to recover before I need to get back on the gas. Not that I'm a mountain bike expert by any means, but it's a course that definitely suits that type of rider.
All right, so we had somebody in the pit there. If you're not familiar with that, our neutral pit works. Thank you for tuning in. And neutral pits work by, you have free laps in a Criterium, and you get to go to that pit if you do have a mechanical. You get yourself sorted in there nice and calmly thanks to our neutral support service, and then when the field comes by, you get thrown into the back of the race and you get to go on your merry way and see if you can get yourself back into contention. Here we have our bike race here. We have two riders off the front with 1 rider appearing to try and bridge, and those 2 riders off front, we have Ben Oliver for now racing for Above and Beyond Cancer, and David Guyona for Team Skyline Cadence. Looks like Oliver now solo. He's surprised even that he's solo. Saying, come on, my man, let's go. We got a bike race to race.
Yeah, and it's too early to kind of look behind for more help. It's really the impetus of the bridging rider to get there. If your gap was, say, 30 seconds, and a guy was coming across, it would be okay to slow up and let that guy finally get there for extra help because you have some breathing room. But when the gap is still inside 7 seconds, 10 seconds, you can't afford to wait around.
That rider bridging was actually Dylan Geary, number 41 for First Internet Bank. Dylan is from South Africa. He came to the U.S. as a very young, thin little lad to Trexlertown, where I spend most of my time calling the shots on Friday night velodrome racing. And Geary was there as part of the South African national team. And he's now since went to Lindenwood University, which unfortunately terminated their cycling program. And Dylan went on to win 3 collegiate national championships at his time at Lindenwood University. Now he's cutting his chops in the professional men's race, and he just tried to make a bridge move to Ben Oliver a moment's time ago. Nice to see Dylan, though, getting himself into the win there momentarily. His instincts were right. He just didn't quite have it to actually make that gap. Looks like Ben Oliver's having a nice time there right now. He's just waiting for the field, I think.
Yeah, just a little frustrating. I mean, he's found himself, for whatever reason, off the front by himself and not considered a player that people want to follow. And I'm not sure if they don't realize that it's Ben Oliver of MitoQ. Is that as a jersey and a team that people would probably want to be in a move with, and Above and Beyond Cancer has not, put themselves on the map to be like, oh, that's a player that I can trust going off the front with and sharing work to establish a breakaway. So he's just kind of missed those opportunities of being with riders of like mind and like skills to be off the front and get a breakaway.
Is that Pablo Calaba, maybe? Number 18 on the old start sheets. Oh, that was Dushan. And so Dushan Calaba. So Dushan and Pablo both in this race, but number 18 today is going to be Dushan. Dushan, quite the accomplished bike racer himself. He's won a collegiate national title racing for MSU, I think. So Dushan racing with us today for Butcher Box Cycling, presented by Look. And Corey Williams making an appearance at the front today. Our Belizean national champion, Corey Williams, on the front, racing this season for Miami Blazers in the off-season. The Williams Racing program trading a number of riders back and forth, and so Williams was traded to Blazers in exchange for Danny Estevez, who came up to Legion of Los Angeles. Seeing at the back some of the DCC riders having a little bit of trouble with the old hill here today. But right now at the front, Corey Williams. At the front right behind him is Luke Lamperti. Mendez there in that Rockland Evo kit on the blue and white kit. Mendez having a good turn. It looks like we sort of missed an acceleration there at the front of the field, and it could have been, that's another Above and Beyond Cancer kit, I believe. Sweet 88 for us. Patrick Welch for Above and Beyond Cancer Cycling. So Patrick Welch perhaps doing a little bit of work on behalf of Ben Oliver. Oliver would absolutely be one of their premier riders in the field. But Welch now taking the reins of the front of the field as our field coming up Crybaby Hill. They're taking some dollar hand-ups. Love to see it.
You get a free buck, you should take a free buck.
Absolutely.
I'd be taking a free buck.
Yeah, I would definitely be taking a free buck. I'm not going to get a premium in the Crybaby Hill race, so I'm going to take the free buck. Looks like Alec Cowan has found himself in another separation on another day. And Andrew Scarano, Mr. Scarando, Andy Scarando coming across. Andy has had a number of good rides over the years. He was on that Tyler Perry program for a wee bit. This year he is on Work Hard, Be Humble. So Welch, Scarano, Cowan, and Luke Lamperti now.
Man, look at the speed. I mean, he just went through that final corner so much faster than the riders around him for an easy bridge. I mean, you know, just using the skills and technique to close a gap with that rather than your legs. Just heads-up riding, incredible ability there to do what needs to be done without spending too much energy.
It's amazing how riders seem to forget how to bend their elbows and put their sternum towards the top tube to make those hot corners. And then Luke Lamperti definitely showing us the skill set.
And Patrick Welch still on the front, just hammering the pace. I don't know if he's necessarily come off of it and what he's, the end goal is here, but we can see now that the field is all back together, and Corey Williams doing effort for his Blazers teams.
That was his effort, huh? All right. Well, Corey looks like he's going to the after party for today, so we'll go focus back on the actual field. And here we go. So we have about 20 minutes of bike racing in. Welch was on the front here. Now Alec Cowan pushing the pace at the front. Your Canadian national Criterium champion, and Luke Lamperti there in second wheel. Brian Gomez has now moved himself up on the outside. He's wearing the Tulsa Omnium Leaders jersey after some great results for the past two nights. Lamperti missing out on the breakaway yesterday. So even though he won on Friday night, he was too far back against Rainstorm Racing in the finale. Don't forget, though, that Lamperti had a flat very late in the contest, just making it in for the free lap rule yesterday. He rode himself through the field and back up into sprint position for today. Andreas Meyer, I believe, on the front for that program. The DCC Alpecin. They've been handing out all the shampoo to everybody that needs it here in Tulsa. Field together right now. Meyer on the front. Now these guys apparently working for Moritz Augustine. Robin Carpenter on one side.
Look at that bottle launch.
That was a big bottle launch there by Luke Lamperti. My goodness, he wanted that thing gone. What do you think about that? We got a feed zone up here at the top of the hill. You think he's just grabbing feeds?
And there's Chris Tolley
Where's Chris Tolley?
For all our YouTube watchers in the comments asking for a Tolley shot, there it is.
Wow.
If only he knew.
If only he knew that Chris Tolley, number 61 from Matador Racing, one of America's most prolific bike race promoters. If you've ever done the Driveway Series down in Austin, Texas, you can thank Chris Tolley for that experience. Chris also puts on a number of other races down in the Texas region, so big thanks to him for keeping bike racing alive and Criterium racing alive. But there he is. Looks like Chris Tolley heading on over to the after party on Crybaby Hill.
Best calves in cycling?
What?
Maybe.
Only because I retired.
That is true. You had a set of calves on you. Your calf to height ratio was incredible.
Yeah. If only I could go fast with them. Oh, well. It's like putting a spoiler on a Civic.
Because it's front wheel drive?
Yeah. That makes no sense. All right, Liam O'Connor there at the back, at the front here. Who do we got? Clever Martinez.
Eder Frere.
And Eder Frere. Eder Frere, always smiling.
That's a super good duo.
Yeah.
To be off the front. We know that Clever's been doing a lot of track training and been relatively quiet. He's been sprinting, he's been in the results, but other than that, being relatively quiet. And then Eder, definitely a guy that loves an uphill. So this duo, if they can just kind of commit, find a rhythm, it definitely puts some people on the back foot. And what's good for them is, yeah, Clever's in the Omnium picture, top 10, but not a full danger man to the overall Omnium. So some of those top 5 guys can give that space.
Chris getting the call outs here for our camera crew. I'm sure Chris is going to love this in post. Here we go. Clever Martinez racing in that blue and white kit, Eder Frere. These two boys definitely know how to race, and I think that they know that they need a little bit more help up there, and so they're not going to dig themselves too deep into this hole as we're a little bit too early. We're 23 and let's call it 24 minutes into this race here today. It's a 75-minute affair, but this race is all about attrition. Oh my goodness, look at Pit Cam getting us the shots here. Pit Cam, who do we got?
From Rain Energy.
Rainstorm. Is that Para?
That is not Para.
Let's get a number on that guy. Number 4. Jamie Castaneda. So Jamie Castaneda for Rainstorm Racing into the pits here right now. Rainstorm had a very unfortunate night last night. They definitely needed some neutral pit service. Danny Summerhill crashed twice. They crashed each other out in front of Sound Pony at one point. So,
no, I think it was 2 different crashes. I think Danny was involved in something we didn't get on camera, and then Rodriguez was in a different incident.
But Danny was involved in that one too?
No, I think Danny was let out of the pit, right, late with that bike change, and was chasing back on and happened to roll up to Alfredo and Para trying to do a bike change.
It was like our version of the Jumbo-Visma bike swap at the Tour de France, basically.
Yep.
It was all over the place. Looks like at the front of the field, we've got Frere, Martinez, the happiest bike racer we know. Who's this guy who we got joining us here? We'll get some numbers on our pink jersey here. Just give him a little shout out here for a moment. That's Frere, Martinez.
80.
80. Who is that man?
C.J. Morrison.
C.J. Morrison.
Out of Oklahoma.
Local Tulsa boy racing for the Parks Law Firm, presented by Omnia Racing. Omnia Racing. All right, Tulsa getting their representation here today in the men's pro field. Nice work, nice work. Oh, he's a triathlete, I'm being told. All right, well.
He's going to have to try.
He's going to have to keep trying here. Look at this, though. This we've got Scarano. Is that Scarano again?
No, Caleb Langerby.
Ah.
Martinez, Frere, Mendez, Rockland putting 2 in the move.
Yep.
and Will Harden from Velocia Sport trying to get up there. But now we have Robin Carpenter, I believe, from the far shot going across. This is going to put some other riders on notice. And that is Robin Carpenter with Ben Oliver. So Ben is finding some accompaniment at the front and to go turn for turn. And Lamperti, wow, this is danger.
Lamperti just, like, rode the curb top just to keep that line, dude. Wow. So alarm bells are ringing out here at the front of the field. As you can see, these guys coming out of the final turn, but Martinez now driving this pace. We got Landgrebe in second position here, and Frere looking around saying, well, you guys need to take a pull. Mendez and Carpenter and Oliver saying no thanks. Garrison now trying to get himself across to it.
Yeah, Robin can't sit around. He's just got to go. I mean, the field may feel like it's close, but it's stretched out. And so he just needs to kind of keep the pace on for another lap and see what he can draw out of it, because he's going to have Garrison for help. He's going to have Ben Oliver for help, and some other guys to pull out of there. So Robin's just got to keep the gas on if he wants to really kind of be a part of the breakaway move. There he goes.
Got a question on YouTube. Is Chris Tolley still in?
No. Hard no.
Definitely not. Hard no. Sorry, Chris Tolley. Just scrub back on the old YouTube. You'll see it a few minutes ago. Field all struggling. This is the moment in time when if you're at the back of the field, you're going to have a hard time. Hey, my name's Gabe Lloyd. This is Daniel Holloway. Thank you guys for joining us here in the broadcast booth. We're thrilled to be here for St. Francis Tulsa Tough. This is Crybaby Hill, the best party in bike racing right here today in our Tulsa, Oklahoma host city.
So let's see some counterattacks, and there it is. Now it's going to be this moment where we should really start to see, I'd like to see or expect to see a lot of, ones that counterattacks until the move solidifies, as we get a lot of the pretty much major players. Brannigan is showing his face to the front. What we don't see in the top 10 as he scrolls through, Gomez is right on the cusp of that top 10, but he's got no teammates around him. Summerhill just there, another 10, 15 spots back, which is not ultra helpful. And then Gomez another 10, 15 wheels back and seems to be doing okay after yesterday's crash.
Yeah, but Rodriguez and Hernandez really far back in this field. This is a race where when gaps can start to open up in front of you, like 10, 15 wheels that you don't even see. And then before you know it, you're like in a chase group without even trying. So look at this, Mr. Kyle Murphy now hitting the front, and it's going to be Garrison to follow. Oliver responds to it, and we got Ribble also in the chase. So Kyle Murphy, former national road race champion, hitting out hard. We got, that's not, is that Garrison? No, that's actually going to be Johnny Clark. My bad, I saw the red jersey. I made an assumption. I apologize. Mr. Johnny Clark's going to tell me all about that mistake later on.
And Jim Brown as well joining that, and Spencer Movinzada from the Outlaws popping over the top. This was conversations we had leading up to this is, this was the day that he really wanted to find and execute on. So he's just making himself present to get there.
Might actually be Max Rushby, 91. We'll get
got that wrong. You are right, sir.
All right, so 91, Max Rushby for Ribble. Ribble's had sort of an interesting experience this weekend. They were very strong for the USA Crit Series in the beginning of the season. They went back to England, and now they're back in America for Armed Forces, and then here in St. Francis Tulsa Tough, and they've been a little off their game. So maybe today is a day of redemption for Ribble. As we come around, you're going to see Rushby there in first position. You got Kyle Murphy in second, but look at the gaps there. They have a gap, but it's not really that significant. You're going to need to see another full lap of commitment by this move in order for it to start to get a little bit of daylight.
So Johnny Clark, Kyle Murphy, Ben Oliver, Max Rushby, who I don't really feel like I've heard his name too much from since Ribble's been in North America.
Right. But we have you can figure him out. So look at that wheelie. Nice wheelie work on the hill. That's what you got to do. You got to make the most of a situation when you're here at St. Francis Tulsa Tough for ourselves. So Rushby.
Summerhill going up to the move. Lamperti shortly to follow.
Looking up Rushby here, he got a 4th in a stage race earlier this year, on a stage race earlier in the year. He was 7th at a stage of Redlands earlier this year. So he can go, he's a stage hunter, and today is his stage at St. Francis Tulsa Tough. We're all back together though.
Seeing Granigan and Tyler Williams get back up into the mix there.
Looks like our field's sort of reshuffling, regrouping here as riders taking feeds up and through the feed zone. Fetzer there near the back, having a bit of a tough time. This is Connor White as he comes up and across the top, and with Mendez right behind him. Mendez had a bad day yesterday in the heat. He was proactive at the front, but he went really deep really early, and in the heat you really just don't recover very quickly. And so Mendez ended up out of the race before even the halfway point, which was very surprising. Mendez has built up a little bit of a reputation for himself as being a very strong rider. Was that Oliver coming out of the pit there? Sort of missed that one on the pit cam. If that was 87, that was Ben Oliver, so perhaps Ben Oliver was in the pit. We just missed it. Looking at the front, Connor White there, trying to just keep this tempo moving, but no real attacks. And here we have Kyle Murphy one more time putting in a big dig. This is Murphy's 3rd attack of the race.
And with the depth of the field, it's going to take a handful of attacks.
Chasing that is going to be Victor Perez Abuela Maldonado for DCC Alpecin. That's number 33. That's Justin Williams' father and CJ, it looks like, in the crowd here today, and James Grady also getting some little bit of TV time. We also are seeing just the crowds here that are on Cry Baby Hill.
Just getting bigger and bigger still. But
Yeah.
Murphy with the gap. DCC rider number 33.
Victor Perez Abuela Maldonado on the sheet here, and right behind Connor White trying to chase. A little bit of gaps opening up. At the back of that is Lamperti. Lamperti not looking very concerned with this. Let's see what the shift becomes there as they come through the feed zone. Murphy now with, we'll call that 4 seconds. As Mr. Kyle Murphy bending those elbows, getting sternum down towards the top tube, and he's going to make his way out of the final turn. He's going to get a little bit more time there on Perez Maldonado. Mendez through the turn on the front. Little squeal of the old disc brakes as these guys are coming through the final turn. Got to be very comfortable on your bike here for Crybaby Hill Day. You got to really have to know how to turn your bike in order to find success here.
Yeah, because if you're at the back and you're not carrying the same speed as the front, and it's just 1 or 2 bike lengths every time, and you just got to get out of the saddle and sprint. And so it's like you're sprinting and then doing a hill and then another roller, and you're just adding efforts if you just can't carry momentum, if you can't trust your equipment to get off the brakes and just kind of let it ride. You need that technique and finesse, so it just saves you effort. So if you don't have that, it just becomes punishing.
Kyle Murphy now, what's he doing, passing the pace vehicle?
Yeah, that might be the back moto trying to clear the stuff. Yeah, not sure what's happening, that the car's, in the way and affecting the race. It's really not.
You don't see that too often.
Yeah, and it shouldn't happen. But Kyle's got to do what he's got to do. He can't sit around and expect the field to sit up if he's got to sit behind the car. So
Kyle Murphy's past
just got to keep
pace
hammering.
Car. Yeah, Kyle Murphy is in front of the pace car. So that's fun. We're going to see Kyle come up through the feed zone. Pace car going to try and get ahead of him. He's like, you should be in front of me, my man.
Yep.
All right, so Murphy, your leader right now, and he actually has a pretty good gap. We're going to see how big of a gap as they come by us here. We're going to pull up our old stopwatch here real quick. And Kyle Murphy now coming by us.
And we're just seeing 22 laps. So still about 45 minutes of racing, likely. So we're at 10 seconds already with still the field. And we're looking at about 17, 18 seconds for the field.
So 18 seconds for Kyle Murphy with 21 laps. That's less than a second per lap that we need to bring back on that one. Coming through at the front of the field was Alfredo Rodriguez. Some bandages on his arms after some unfortunate touchdowns with the pavement last night in the Arts District. Kyle Murphy, don't forget, my man, he wears the national championship bands on his arms because he did win pro road national championships when he was on rally just a few years ago.
Yeah, and so kind of like we talked about yesterday, and the gap is kind of established. Kyle just needs to find his tempo and his pace, and not try to just be at 607 watts to blow the gap out. He's just got to ride the tempo and then let the gap open by the peloton lulling behind him. So it's going to flux. It's going to come back 5 seconds, and then hopefully it goes out 7 seconds, right? And then comes back and just gain a couple of seconds each time by the peloton hesitating or slowing down. Not him just continued to ride way over threshold.
Do you think that? Do you think that Murphy has a shot here, or he's not even really fully committed? So how about this question?
I think he's fully committed. There's no reason that he's not to. He's just not a guy that is that of the high aero disciplined riding style.
Okay. What about a chase group? You think you're going to see a chase group try to jump across?
I don't think, though. I think there's some people going, there's an onus on a team or a couple teams, but as I say that, Lamperti jumps out to, I guess, just get a feed. But I think some people are saying, hey, there's a team that's not us to chasing, and everybody's kind of looking around going, no, you do it, no, you do it, no, you do it. And so who's that team that's going to say that, that's us?
And can you talk to us a little bit about why this is so good for Robin Carpenter?
Yeah, because, Robin and Ty now just get to sit the wheels. It's no longer, they don't get to have to worry about putting on pace. They can just follow wheels. And again, just Luke going through that final corner so insanely fast, immediately opening gaps.
Luke Lamperti just came by us here. He opened up a gap in front of everybody else without even pedaling. Look at Brad Huff. My goodness. The ambassador of...
It's Tulsa Huff.
Tulsa Huff. So that's Brad Huff there, looking strong. And his former teammate, Kyle Murphy there. Those two, were they on rally together at the same time? I believe
they shared the same jersey for a little bit.
Yeah, so Kyle Murphy there, your leader, coming through the loud noise of Crybaby Hill. Your peloton now down at the bottom of the hill. What's the inflection point with a single rider? So in the women's coverage, if you guys missed that earlier, we had this whole thing about the inflection point of this course. You want to talk about that for us one more time for anybody that just joined us so that they understand what we're talking about, and then we'll try to understand whether or not that's a thing to talk about for Kyle Murphy.
Yeah, so it's the point in which the breakaway gets on the positive side of the course to where the main field is. So Kyle's need to get around that basically corner 3 as the field is on the hill. And then the course starts to tip back into his favor as fatigue accumulates. If he's on the hill the same time as the field and they're going to rush up it, it's really easy to take 5-7 seconds out of some tired legs or some steady state legs. But if he can get a further gap up on that and he's on the downhill while they're going the uphill, they kind of starts to cancel each other out, and the breakaway is going to have to make up more time. They're going to have to race down the home stretch, to make up their time rather than it just be on the hill. So Kyle's just going to sit there, find his tempo, his pace, and the field is going to have to be consistently faster, not to kind of do these on-offs. But he's got 2-3 teammates at the front to kind of keep things monitored and say, who's there to chase.
Wow, dude, I'm sorry I chuckled there because Ty Magner was just so blatantly pulling the brakes as they came through this turn. Like, Ty is so good at subtly making you realize you're in a bad spot.
Yep.
And so Ty just totally stuffed the field as they came through this bottom turn. And that's exactly why you're seeing the field go fence to fence here. These guys are now fully committed to Kyle Murphy. So Daniel, thank you for that explanation of the inflection point. It looks like we're actually potentially getting there, right? Because Murphy's now crested Crybaby Hill. He's going to do the dip, and our field is now just getting to the base of the climb. Our gap is like 25-ish seconds. Is that about right?
Yeah, we'll take a timestamp, but we now have Skyline and Butcherbox trying to create some separation, which that's going to just spur some other of the smaller teams to want to join. And so, again, this is one of those things that Kyle may be getting a reading to say it was 20 seconds, 25 seconds, and then may get like a 18 or 17 second time gap because of that attack. He's just got to stay cool, calm, and patient, because it's like, how long is that going to last? How long is that going to, and it maybe just go all of a sudden, the next one might be 27 seconds the next lap, because the field has just lost so much steam after that big pace.
All right, so here comes Kyle by us at the final turn of the race course, carrying good speed. And we started our clock here as he comes out nice and bending those elbows.
Now he's got some aero discipline.
There he goes. He's like, oh boy, I better really commit to this thing. So Kyle is looking good, looking comfy on that bike. And as we see our field now approach us in the final turn, being led by Alfredo Rodriguez. What's our timestamp?
27 seconds.
27. So he's right on the cusp here. If he gets another, we'll call it 4 or 5 seconds.
Really starts to help him out.
Yeah. This is an interesting thing because I think a lot of these guys figure that a solo rider can't survive here. Is that true?
Not when it's Kyle Murphy.
There you go. Yeah.
So, I mean, we saw where Kyle's fitness is at not too long ago at Road Nationals, when he was basically in that second group on the road behind all the World Tour guys.
Right.
So that we know that his fitness bubble should be there, as long as, as far as we know, he didn't get sick in between or anything like that. So should be there.
And none of that. He said that he had a pretty good run of it here. He did Nationals, he did Easton Somerville, he did Armed Forces Cycling Classic, and now here he is at St. Francis Tulsa Tough at the sort of the perfect peak point for his training regimen. And so Kyle Murphy now, last he came through, he had a 27-second gap here at the commentary booth on the final turn. A little bit of wind starting to pick up here, but the sky conditions look really nice. So I think we're still set for a beautiful day, but a little extra wind picking up here with 18 laps to go. And look at Ribble now on the front, really trying to push this pace. Here comes Kyle. We're going to take a time here.
And we can see that Kyle picked up an ice sock at the top of the course to make sure that he's not overheating and staying cool. Yeah, again, it's overcast, the sun's not fully blazing, but anything you can do to continue to still stay cool for yourself is very, very beneficial.
Okay. So Murphy grabbing that ice sock. Here comes our field being led by Ribble. Let's see how much time they took out of Mr. Murphy here.
So it's about 26 seconds still.
Okay, so it's stable, but he lost a second or maybe a second and a half on that last time around, thanks to the big effort here by Ribble.
And so, yeah, I mean, again, his job, whether it be for Robin or Ty, is just continue to ride that hard pace and make other teams chase as long as possible. If he just all of a sudden absolutely cracks or just gives up, right, the other teams don't have to chase for that long anymore, not do enough damage. So there's the above tree line flag. It is absolutely howling above trees. Again, down here on the course, with all the tents set up and the low trees, you're not getting that full flag effect, but some of that wind is making its way on the course.
I have a question from a friend at home. They want to know whether or not Kyle Murphy's mustache is giving him any aero benefit. What do you think?
If you look good, you feel good, and if you feel good, you go good. So it's absolutely working.
There it is. You heard it there first. All right, Murphy coming out on the front end of this right now, taking the ice sock on the last lap. You can see Alexi Ramirez, I believe, helping him out with a feed at the top of the feed zone. There's sort of this like moment where we can't see them at all, and then here he is. He's taking food, he's taking water as he comes down with the bottle in the mouth coming through this turn. And Murphy going to be fully committed to this. Now, as the sun starts to shine a little bit more, that's going to lift our temperatures up to that 82 degrees forecast prediction. And just a few degrees here and there can make a big difference, especially at the end of 3 days of bike racing. So we'll see whether or not he's going to have any fatigue that sets in. I'm curious to see what happens when we get a little bit closer, like say 12 laps to go. But look at this, full Ribble. We got 3 Ribbles. We have two Blazers and a Garrison mixed in there, and then Luke Lamperti at the back. But Lamperti didn't expect to be chasing a breakaway again here today.
Yeah, and he's just there helping keep momentum if he is going to rotate, or he's just, again, staying out of the mess. Like we saw with Rodriguez towards the end of yesterday, is that somebody just, overlap wheels in a ripple effect, and you end up on the ground. So Luke's just really keeping himself out of that mess. But more importantly, you do see Garrison, Tyler Williams, and Luke all together. And like we saw yesterday, once that gap got around 10 seconds, Garrison was like, that's good enough for me to go across.
Yeah.
And so it then becomes Garrison, Tyler Williams, Luke Lamperti, Robin Carpenter, who's going after that, who's chasing. So not sure, but the pace looks to maybe come off over the hill with Ribble. It's really always kind of hard to tell. So
yeah. It's so hard to tell here with the gaps over Crybaby, because the speed is just drops as they hit those steeper pitches, and so while the gaps are actually stable, it looks like they're shifting here and there. We're going to see Kyle coming through the feed zone and then by us right now, looking very comfortable. His team already up at the top of the feed zone to support him fully. He's carrying now one bottle because he's able to swap bottles very frequently without any traffic around him. Murphy able to now ride his nice tempo. It feels like he's got a little bit of a tailwind here through the start finishing straight. We're going to be counting a gap here. Daniel's got his phone out. Ribble is on the front, motivated to chase this.
Still about 25 seconds.
All right, 25 seconds. We'll call that with 16 laps to go.
Ooh, a little bit of a mishap there.
Yep, that's DCC having a little bit of, that's Jonas Schmeiser here, number 30, having a little bit of an issue with the big old turn here.
Oh, his front wheel is goofed.
Whoops. Wah, wah, wah. He must have broken a spoke. Murphy coming up through Crybaby Hill. Turned out to be a beautiful day. Some people were worried that those thunderstorms north of us would come on down and make us a visit, but they have not yet done so. We hope to keep it that way. Schmeiser looking for this front wheel as these guys get themselves set. Remember, neutral laps are permitted here until 7 to go here.
I don't know why they're putting the bike in the stand.
Yeah, that's... we can take a look at the replay here, I think.
So he must have had a flat tire and couldn't get around the corner. Yeah, you can see that front wheel just washing out from underneath him. So impressive to keep a front flat upright coming down the hill. So good on him for not dumping it with a front tire coming down this hill. So
I've certainly seen guys go head over heels over this fence.
Heels over head?
Heels over head.
Oh, look at Kyle Murphy, bottle in the mouth through the final corner. What a stud.
Murphy going to be very disciplined about his nutrition. Going to take fresh, cold water to keep himself as cool as possible. So he's going to go by neutral pit, and of course, Schmeiser here will be thrown back into the field. Ribble still on the front, doing their best to try and keep this thing going. I hear a lot of brake squeal though through this turn. You can't be.
Not everybody has a mechanic with them.
That's true. This field has really stabilized over the past few laps. Schmeiser going to get tossed in here. He's going to get himself back to the front and try to help out. Now, DCC, I would expect them to send somebody up to the front. They came here specifically for Crybaby Hill, did they not? Like, that was their whole thing. They said, oh, yesterday was a bonus because we actually came here to win Crybaby Hill. Where are they? They should be chasing. They got Kyle Murphy up the road, 14 laps to go, and he's holding a gap of 25 seconds.
They may just outright be hiding. I mean, if we look at how last year played out, that group that went to the line went relatively late. So they may be saying, hey, we're going to be patient, ultra patient, and really look inside the last 10 laps, 8 laps, and be fresh and present for anything that happens, then overextend themselves early. Again, maybe saying, hey, it's one guy. Good on him if he does it. you know, and maybe put pressure on other teammates. But now Ribble's starting to lose riders out of that chase.
Oh, wow. Sacrificing riders just to bring a break back is tough. That means they're going to lose their men for the finale.
That's Jim Brown, one of their faster guys.
Yeah, didn't Brown get into the top 5 on Friday night?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so Brown out here at the McElroy River Parks Criterium. For those of you just joining us, Kyle Murphy of Legion of Los Angeles is off the front. He has about a 25-second gap. He is solo by himself. Oh, look at this. We got something happening up there in the Pete.
Michael Garrison.
Tyler Williams having an issue. Excuse me. So Kyle Murphy, solo rider off the front of the field. Tyler Williams was having a mechanical up in the feed zone here. We'll see him come by, perhaps getting himself to the neutral pit since he had a mechanical. But again, Kyle Murphy, solo off the front, racing for Legion of Los Angeles. He has a 25-second advantage over the field. That gap has been stable now for 7 or 8 laps. And the sun is now coming out. And let me tell you what, we're having a bright, beautiful day here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We got our sunnies ready to go here, and so does everybody else. The parties are absolutely flying right now, and there it is. Oh, Ribble has just brought this back, and the gap is now going to be drastically reducing here very quickly. So while Murphy had his advantage at one point in time, it seems as if in just a matter of a lap and a half, his advantage was drastically reduced. Was that a Kyle Murphy engine room issue, or is that a field collaboration whittling away at Murphy?
That's just the field really whittling away. Looking at lap times, they're about 100. They're about a minute 55-ish,
okay.
You know? So that's telling that if the gap is stabilized, Kyle's doing the same, or, you know, maybe just a couple seconds slower. But that last big hit was mostly because Garrison coming through the feed zone on another level, injecting a lot of pace to take a good chunk of time out. So,
got it. Tyler Williams here in the pit. Williams a big factor for Miami Blazers. Ribble on the front right now. Garrison just behind them with Johnny Clark.
It's about 10 seconds.
10 seconds. Wow, so we went from 25 to 10 in just a matter of a lap. 13 laps to go. Just about 10 seconds. So last night with the 10-second gap, that's when bridges started to occur. Garrison jumping across to what at the time was Alec Cowan and Maurice Augustine. So we'll see if we see any bridge attempts with this 10-second gap at this point in time. But this is Kyle Murphy for Legion of Los Angeles, solo off the front. Ribble racing behind. You can see this dual screen setup here that we're trying to give you guys so you can see the full race.
And here goes, is that an attack?
It was an acceleration, but it's unclear as to who was actually doing it.
That's not. That's a full-blown. So Ribble just did this like 5-lap lead out.
Yeah, to try and bridge. I wonder
for Bostock.
Yeah, but
just like, to launch him.
The field's right there, though. Yeah, I guess he's going to have to ride right up over the top of Murphy.
Yeah, and yeah, we're not looking for a bridge. Just set up the attack and see who we can draw out that wants to race. Does it draw out Garrison, Lamperti, Robin Carpenter? But
so we got
95.
95 is going to be Cole Davis. He's our American rider, yeah?
I do believe so.
Yeah, so Davis here, 95 for Ribble Rebellion. He's an American on this British outfit. And he has now made contact with Kyle Murphy. So we now have 2, but your gap is, well, pretty small. And Luke Lamperti is the one that's about to shut it down. Lamperti through this turn in front of the field. The gap now being reduced to 2 seconds. Lamperti out of the saddle. And he is lifting. And Lamperti is about to neutralize this breakaway after a huge effort by Ribble Rebellion.
And what it's done is it's single file. If we just stay on this shot, you're just going to see it's just ones. There's no 2 wide, 3 wide. There's gaps opening. The pace is on. So the top, we can see the little bit of a snap between the Rain Energy guys that are 3 in a row and Johnny Clark. And if they keep hitting it, that gap would just continue to go out. You know, there's not many players behind that would go, but it looks like Luke is going to inject a little bit of pace, but
so Lamperti on the front with Brian Gomez in the St. Francis Tulsa Tough leaders jersey right behind, and that's Ben Oliver there with the we'll call it a yellow A on his back. And 104, is that Zapata?
Yes.
All right, so Zapata once again coming to the front. Pablo Zapata got third at Torrey Somerville a few weeks ago. He definitely has the ability to find a good result if he's in the right place. Hey, big thanks to Quick Trip, more than a gas station. They're the official sponsor of the St. Francis Tulsa Tough. If you're watching from around the country, ever do a cross-country trip, make sure you come into a Quick Trip for some snacks and whatnot. And if you're watching locally, let us know what your favorite store is and tag Tulsa Tough when you do so. Your field coming back together now. We've had a Kyle Murphy off the front for about 10 laps solo. He built up an advantage of 25 seconds at one point in time, and that has now been brought back courtesy of Ribble Rebellion. Luke Lamperti finished the deal last time through the start-finish line. We are reshuffling the deck, and here Mr. Mendez for Rockland Diva Development Program out of the New York City region. He is at the front, driving this pace with Lamperti in second wheel. Marcos Mendez, you know, he's done a lot in our races over the past few weeks, where he did a massive 9-lap bridge at Armed Forces Cycling Classic. Who is this for Work Hard, Be Humble? This is Preston. Work Hard, Be Humble, a newer program for this year, sort of a combination of a few different teams out of the southeast, but Work Hard, Be Humble now at the front, and it's Caleb Landgrebe once again. Landgrebe was off the front earlier in our competition.
Eder Frere on his wheel, Lamperti, Rodriguez, Mendez, Tyler Williams, and Garrison making up the top 8 or so riders.
And we got a drop chain for DCC Alpecin here, trying to get that sorted. So he's just trying to get himself into the neutral pit as quickly as he can. Silas
Maldonado with the chain coming off his bike, and Garrison throwing an attack through the feed zone.
And riders begging for a feed here from the Williams Racing crew, and they're not getting it because they're there to support their riders. Here's Michael Garrison at the front of the field. Garrison pretty much in the draft of that motorbike.
Getting some motor pacing there.
Noah Granigan second wheel. It looks like maybe Carpenter up there. Yep, that's Carpenter, and Mendez trying to fight for the wheel for some reason. Mendez going to go to the front to keep the pace high. Little gap opening up from the field, but I don't think it's necessarily anything to worry about. It looks like we're pretty motivated to get a little bit of injection of pace here. Mendez now launching himself. Lamperti going to try and take advantage of this opportunity. And of course, Brian Gomez has to respond to it to try to protect his gap, and Noah Granigan also right there. So these are all riders that are at the top of the Omnium standings. And Lamperti now out of the saddle, going to lift, and try to crack this race with 9 laps to go. Lamperti for Quick Step Soudal on the front of this field. He is trying to crack this thing out, and Robin Carpenter is right there, and so is number 29. I believe that is your winner from last night, Maurice Augustine.
Garrison's missed that acceleration and have to do a really big effort to get across to it.
All right, so we're having some words here in the pit. You have to come into the neutral pit. If we have a microphone, we'll try to listen to it. But
I think what's happening there is that he went to just shift and his chain came off, and he had to get off. And that's not a mechanical. That doesn't count for a free lap. Right. You need to be in some sort of incident, pushed into a curb, a crash of some kind, to get a free lap for the chain coming off. So
Yeah, you don't get in the pit if you don't know if your tuning needs a little bit of work. So here we are, where our field is now coming, cresting the hill. In front of us, Johnny Clark coming to the forefront.
All back together.
All back together. Lamperti looking for a clean line. Lamperti is so good at coming through this turn that he's actually like sort of bobbing and weaving just to keep from running into the rider in front of him. In these accelerations, we're going to see a little bit of a reshuffling here as teams are going to start to try and organize, as we're now going to be looking at 8, I think, once we come through the start-finish line.
And here's the first time we've seen Moritz Augustine, last night's winner, come to the front. He followed that move, and is inside 10 to go. Decided he's going to start playing around in the top 10.
It's going to be very interesting to see what plays out over the next few laps. Is this the Cliff Bar crew?
Yeah, the Drifter is finally making it to the front of Tulsa Tough.
It's Kevin. Connor, excuse me, coming up on the outside.
I believe Mac Dorf is well with him right there.
And Connor White there, also for the Outlaws.
Or Jack Shukra, sorry. Jack Shukra. Both Utah guys. Or maybe Mac Dorf made his name at Utah. Jack Shukra is from Utah.
There we go.
That's why I'm confused.
Field's staying together right now. As we're looking at a reshuffling opportunity at the front of our field. 8 laps to go, 8 laps remaining. We have a reshuffling of power. We saw solo riders. We've seen counterattacks from that catch of the solo Kyle Murphy. And we're seeing Miami Blazers starting to form up at the front with DCC Alpecin now trying to join them in a big attack here by a Legion of Los Angeles rider. That's going to be Robin Carpenter. Carpenter 56 here, I believe. Yeah, that is Robin Carpenter. So Carpenter is one to watch. This course suits him absolutely. Carpenter even saying the past few nights were kind of easy for him. Carpenter now building an advantage. Carpenter down through this turn. He's on the brakes through this turn. He's going to need to carry more speed than that in order to build up an advantage. Part of the nuance of this course is that you need to be able to build speed without pedaling. So Carpenter very good at many things. We'll see if he can carry this. You can see his advantage right now, courtesy of this cool camera shot at the start-finish line, is that he is building an advantage, but we'll call that 3 seconds. You're going to need a lot more than that. And as we come into this climb, we'll see if Carpenter can stay committed to it and start to lift his advantage. Carpenter now at the base of Crybaby Hill. You can see the field right behind him being led by Miami Blazers, and now Rainstorm Racing coming up to the front. Rainstorm changing their tactics here from last night, now contributing to the pace setting. It's going to be Castaneda, number 4, and Ribble Rebellion with Cole Davis now going to also try to bridge across. So this is Ribble's second attempt at getting across to something with Cole Davis. And if Cole can get up to Robin, that would be a good pairing. I think they need a Ben Oliver at some point, or somebody else. Maybe Moritz Augustine if he's feeling really good.
Ideally, it's Ben Oliver, somebody that's not high on the GC, not like, one of those leaders can just kind of let go up there, so to speak, and not initial reaction, let them work together and build that gap before it's too late.
Big thanks to Helmerich and Payne for their drone shot support here at the St. Francis Tulsa Tough, showing us the beautiful city of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Cole Davis and Robin Carpenter, 2 Americans at the front of this race, coming through this turn. And let's look at our gap. Not very big at this point in time. DCC trying their best to keep some speed through it.
So that's DCC left to chase
with Rainstorm, and
it's unknown if Rainstorm's going to chase after what we saw last night.
That's
so just because they're there doesn't mean they're going to work.
That's right. Yeah, that's true. That last night we heard that they were unwilling to work in the chase because it was a Legion rider in the breakaway, and they didn't want to bring support up to Alec Cowan. Right now you got Robin Carpenter at the front of the field. That's another Legion of Los Angeles rider. And so we'll see if Rainstorm will start their chase. Carpenter, number 56 for Legion of Los Angeles. Cole Davis, number 95 for Ribble Rebellion. Ribble Rebellion is a program out of London, out of England, various parts of England. He is an American, though. Seeing big accelerations here on the left and right side, and Lamperti responding to something that we can't quite see here. So Lamperti proactive over the top of the field. Your field now single file as they're trying to chase back Carpenter and Davis. And we're seeing the two leaders coming into this turn. This is sort of it's a hill, right? It looks relatively flat, but you're definitely on the pedals as you come up this turn.
Yeah, this is just like this annoying uphill that you just would really love for it to be flat after that little bit of downhill off the peak of Crybaby. So yeah, it goes up into that corner, and you make the right turn, and it's kind of up again. So Robin's got a really good ally here with Cole. I think Cole won one of the harder days at Speed Week this year, showing his ability on the tough courses. So two guys that have really good ability. Robin's got a lot of allies with good teammates still in the back, but Luke has now come to the front and wants none of this, as he has seen that if the Legion rider gets up the road, there's nobody else too motivated to chase.
Yeah, and this is still close enough that I think Lamperti could bridge across himself. Like, would he do that? Is it a thing that Lamperti could or should do, is to bridge across solo?
Yeah, but you'd want to do that like on and through the climb, not necessarily like the downhill and the flat.
Okay, well, here we are at the base of Crybaby. Let's see if Lamperti gives it a rip here, because they got our two riders just in front, well within striking distance of a quick bridge attempt. Davis on the front right now for Rebellion, and Robin Carpenter here, second position.
Yeah, and you can kind of just see the speed has flatlined a little bit from these guys. I mean, not like they're going slow, but it's not like they, are still putting out big speed to make it super, super difficult to come across. But I think that was Luke going over the top of this in a serious way.
Yeah, Lamperti shutting that down, I believe, and we're going to see another reset. We're now within 5 laps to go, though, and this is going to be Connor White, I believe.
Brannigan, Summerhill.
Yep.
Lucas Bourgogne, maybe, with Clever Martinez.
Okay.
So it's going to be inside of 5 to go, looking at what's left here. It's going to be a risk taker with legs that could kind of got to pull off a coup here. If not, it's just going to come down to this field sprint, which I can't remember the last time we saw a group this large at Crybaby Hill come to the line. Well,
yeah, I mean, maybe it's due to weather or something else, but we
Ty
were
Magner
always talking about just how atrocious this race can be. Ty Magner on the front, former pro crit champ, and he's out of the saddle, dude. Ty Magner is really pushing this one. He wants to make a point here, and he has drawn out Lamperti. Is that Rodriguez, perhaps, that he's also drawn out? And you're going to see Brian Gomez also there with Clever Martinez.
So Luke brings it back, but he doesn't counter. Interesting. I don't know if that's just a little bit of accumulation of fatigue the last couple laps, but you definitely kind of expect him to kind of go over the top. But now I think with Rain's number, they're going to come ideally and start to just set a strong tempo and be able to organize from here on out.
I think like this is a moment, we're at 4 laps to go, and this is a point where these guys have to keep everything in check, right? Where the final Hail Marys are about to start coming, and Lamperti has to keep this thing in check if he wants to win the field sprint. We've seen that Lamperti is able to carry the most speed through this final turn here. And this final turn, what we saw in the women's race was the first on the pedals generally can keep it moving. Although Magner got a rush at the wheel on Schneider in the women's race, and then was able to take it with a bike throw at the line. So perhaps there is a hope for second wheel here. We got one rider off the front, and is that Frere?
Yep.
It's Eder Frere of Miami Blazers. This is a good move for Noah Brannigan, his teammate, right? Because this takes pressure off of Brannigan to chase.
Yep, and now Noah just has to be ever present, follow the known wheels, and stay in the draft.
Because Miami doesn't necessarily have the power to do a traditional lead out. So in a way, they're sort of starting to soften the field as much as they can. Is that correct?
Yeah, just take out the lead out guys of other teams, giving Noah more one-on-one advantage into the sprint rather than leaving a team like DCC or something that with 3 or 4 guys in the front with a half lap to go or a lap to go.
So we got the business end of this race now coming into play here. Eder Frere, your Olympian from Mexico on the front of our field, racing for Miami Blazers this season. And you've got DCC Alpecin right behind. They are clearly doing the work for Maurice Augustine. I believe that's Andreas Meyer on the front of the field, but there is Augustine there, just behind Brian Gomez. So you got Frere, Meyer, now Luke Lamperti and Brian Gomez hitting in front. And Lamperti now lifting the tempo out of the saddle. He's going to try and crack this race a little down the group. Lamperti for Quick Step Sudal. Now out of the saddle, going to lift, lift, lift. He's motor pacing at this point, right behind that motorcycle through Crybaby Hill. He stays seated though. That was an interesting moment because he wanted to see what would happen, I think, right? It's like a 70% attack?
Yeah, probably, and just getting a little bit ahead of the counterattack. You know, that if he just keeps that momentum with a, strong, moderate effort, it nullifies, a big rush. Like if he just coasts and somebody else carries a lot of momentum from behind, 6-8 wheel, then all of a sudden it's a big gap, and now he's more to chase mode, as the peloton really seems to be looking at him to do a lot of work, which is at some point like, oh yeah, you're the World Tour guy here, but also like there's other teams with multiple riders bouncing around, but not too organized.
All right, so we're currently showing 3 to go. When we come through, we'll be looking at 2 laps to go, and this is a moment where you have to start really being at the front. It's going to be too late to chase. You can't really move yourself up from the back to the front anymore, but who's going to take control of this, right? Like, I don't see a team necessarily starting to line it up in a traditional sense.
No, we just don't see anybody with more than 2. I mean, here's Johnny Clark taking care of Granigan. Luke Gomez, Bourgon is there. Yep. Winner from Easton.
Yeah, so they're going there, number 10, right behind Brian Gomez. Johnny Clark on the front here, our ever-present Johnny Clark at the front, trying to protect Noah Granigan's position here. But this is 2 laps to go right now, ladies and gentlemen. 2 laps remaining in our professional men's race for St. Francis Tulsa Tough. This is the McElroy River Parks Criterium, better known as Crybaby Hill. We're making this right-hand turn onto Crybaby Hill right now. Johnny Clark leading it. Noah Granigan second. World Tour rider Luke Lamperti, also 3-time national champion. Lamperti here today. He is looking for a win to see if he can also take the Tulsa Tough Omnium. He has to place in front of Brian Gomez in order to take that Omnium. Brian Gomez wearing the leader's jersey for the St. Francis Tulsa Tough. It is pink and blue this season, a little bit of pink-blue camo. We are wide fence to fence. This is a dangerous moment for your leaders because we only have a lap and a half to go.
That's a small group. I mean, it's a big group going to the finish for Crybaby Hill, but overall, look at the attrition of the overall race. Is that there is not many guys left out of that 130 starters that we had. Yeah,
I mean 130 some starters here today, and we are down to let's call it 40 some. We're going to see, the rider with the A on his back. That's Ben Oliver from New Zealand. Definitely a strong rider. He's been racing mountain bikes in Europe for the past few months now, making the jump over the pond to us for St. Francis Tulsa Tough. I'm looking up the street here to see what we can see. Alec Cowan, though, out of this race late on. That's going to hurt Legion of Los Angeles and Ty Magner. Here we come through this final turn here. We're going to be coming into 1 lap to go. We got
that's Gomez.
Gomez is down. Brian Gomez is crashed in the final turn. Brian Gomez is down. This is your Tulsa Tough Series leader. Gomez is wiped out in the final turn. He is slow to get up. This is going to give the St. Francis Tulsa Tough Omnium to Luke Lamperti, should all things suss out as we see. But my goodness, what a turn of fortune here for Brian Gomez, sliding out with 1 lap to go. All right, let's take a look at our bike race here on the front of the field. We have Miami Blazers with Tyler Williams at the front, and there comes Lamperti. Lamperti's at the front a little earlier than he would have liked, I would suspect. And look at this on the outside. That is going to be Noah Granigan, number 67. Granigan could absolutely win this race, but on the right side of the field, you have Clever Martinez also right there. Dusan Kolaba, also putting himself into a good spot. Here's an acceleration over the crest of Crybaby Hill. Too far away to see who this might be, but you can see your field all coming back together here. This is the dip portion off of the upper portions of Crybaby
That's Husted.
Husted for Matadors Racing. Husted putting up a good fight here for Austin, Texas. But DCC Alpecin coming around on the outside, and Lamperti is right on the wheel. The DCC rider is your winner from Saturday night. That's Maurice Augustine. He's trying to make the race to the front, and it's going to be Lamperti jumping now through the feed zone. Lamperti going to try to get himself to be first through this turn. He knows he can carry the most speed through this turn. Lamperti's now made it. Lamperti on the front as he comes through this final turn. He will carry the most speed possible. He is gingerly getting himself there. He's on the pedals before anybody else. Lamperti for Quick Step Sudal is trying to get there, but here comes the rush from behind. Granigan is third wheel. Does he have the time to get there? Lamperti on the wheels. Cole Davis is right there as well. Can Cole Davis come to the line? And it looks like Lamperti taking the win here for Tulsa Tough. Crybaby Hill. An exhausting effort to the point that Lamperti unable to even celebrate at the line after taking the win. But Luke Lamperti, ladies and gentlemen, racing for Quick Step Sudal, taking the race win here for St. Francis Tulsa Tough.
Yeah, and you can just see the gap that they put in out of that last corner. I mean, they had 4 bike lengths on August Morestein, and then another few bike lengths between, it looks like, Ben Oliver, who gets in for 5th.
Wow. It's amazing for me to see Lamperti not celebrate. He's just so gassed. It just exemplifies just how hard this race was. I'd like to also shout out to Cole Davis for a fantastic sprint there.
I mean, to the bike throw.
Doing the bike throw. He almost got it there.
Wait, what is that?
Do you think?
Oh.
That's tight. That's tight.
I mean, good on him for sprinting through it. We've seen it plenty of times where a guy thinks he has it and splits it up. But another notable mention is Ryan Jastrap for 6th. Really impressive ride for him on a day like today.
What a sprint. Lamperti so gassed, unable to celebrate his win here at McElroy River Park's Criterium. There's Brian Gomez. Bitter, bitter day for this young man. He crashed on the 1 lap to go. That will mean he will lose the Tulsa Tough winner's jersey, leader's jersey. He's wearing the Omnium jersey right now. He only led by 1 point ahead of Luke Lamperti. By crashing out, he was unable to even contest it. He is rolling directly to the team vehicle in utter disappointment. Lamperti, with this race win, of course, will take the St. Francis Tulsa Tough Omnium overall. We're going to take a look at the last one here with Lamperti. One more time, last lap, coming right up.
And we can just see through the start-finish line, he's second wheel. Tyler Williams doing the lead out. Tyler basically gets all the way to the bottom of the climb, and Luke just takes it you know, with his World Tour strength coming off the Giro, just takes the whole race in his hands. He wasn't going to swing over and ask for help, but here it is. He's just doing this this is the efforts he's doing at the World Tour level for Tim Merliner, you know, and the other Lotto Sudal sprinters. And he's just doing this just ultra long, just progressive sprint. You know, on the track, we like to call that a razor, where you just kind of get progressively faster, faster, faster. He gets a little help here from Eli Husted of Matador Racing. Gets a little swarm, but again, Luke just takes things into his own hand to come around, back around Morestein into the final corner and just carries so much speed. Look, he's extending his gap into Cole Davis. It gets a jump on the pedals, but you can see the fatigue really start to accumulate. And so at the World Tour level, his sprinter would be coming around, you know, winning the race and Luke getting 4th. But here it's just such world-class deep level that he's able to maintain it just to the line, because Cole did make a massive run with a really good bike throw to just nearly get it, you know. So very impressive last lap by Luke to just take the race in his hands to secure the win.
I'd say that's impressive by Cole Davis and Noah Granigan also for holding that wheel and staying in the draft. A little bit over there for Granigan to, again, be so close to victory and not yet get it. Nice ride there by Cole Davis, though, to challenge Luke Lamperti after a big day. Cole Davis is very active throughout the event as well, so it's not like he was sitting in all night and waiting for the finish to come to him.
Yes, also very, very impressive.
Don't go anywhere, you guys. If you're tuning in on YouTube or some other channel, be sure to stick around. We're going to have our podium presentation coming right up next. And if you are heading out, thank you for joining us. My name is Gabe Lloyd, but joined alongside by Daniel Holloway this afternoon here in Tulsa, Oklahoma for the 18th annual St. Francis Tulsa Tough. Big thanks to St. Francis Health Network for making sure that we can continue to have the biggest and best party in Tulsa every single year. This town has absolutely turned out, and so we are going to be right around here for a little bit, making sure that we get everybody in the places they need to be for the podium as everybody is celebrating their victories here. Luke Lamperti just coming by us here in the broadcast booth, looking for the interview with him and Brad Silner at the finish line before we jump on over to the podiums. So Lamperti here talking to Michael Garrison at the finish line apparently, and so Lamperti going to head out down and try and get his interview here with Brad at the finish line so we can get some insight into this win and his overall Omnium Championship for the St. Francis Tulsa Tough.
And we can see that all that work Ribble did, that to really bring back Kyle Murphy was all for naught. It really did put a pace and, end up setting, Cole Davis up for getting second, nearly first.
Good result. All right, we're throwing to Brad
What
Silner.
a day at Tulsa Tough. Luke, congratulations. What's going through your head right now? Did you have a chance to stop and celebrate on Crybaby Hill? Be honest.
Yeah, I was up there enjoying the fans. I think that's what it's about, and I don't think anyone can put on a bike race like Tulsa, so thank you guys.
Talk about what was going through your head out there today. What was your plan going into this one with no teammates out there racing against some huge teams here at Tulsa? How does a solo guy beat teams like Legion of Los Angeles and Miami Blazers in this weekend?
Yeah, for sure. It's a hard weekend, 3 days of racing, and yeah, I would rather when you focus day by day and go for individual day wins, and then you hope for the overall. But I think when you just race for the overall, it can hurt you, so you got to race day by day.
Luke, you have raced your bike all over the world, the biggest bike races on the planet. Talk about how Tulsa Tough compares to them. What is so special and unique about racing here in the United States and, of course, the Tulsa Tough weekend?
Yeah, for sure. It's it's not a race I have to come to. I get sent to a lot of bike races, and this is one I choose to come to myself because how much of a party it is, how fun it is, and it's just an amazing place to come and race your bike.
What's next for you? A little celebration tonight. What's the next 24 hours and 24 days look like for you?
Yeah, I fly back to California, Northern California, where I'm from, and then I'll head back over to Europe in the beginning of July to do some more racing for the rest of the season.
Right on. Well, Tulsa, this guy could be anywhere in the world, but he chose to be here with you tonight. Give it up for Luke Lamperti, your winner here on Crybaby